Hello, low ego action heroes. It's Debbie Levitt from DeltaCX.com, and a question I get a lot is, do you recommend the Lean UX book? Should I read the Lean UX book? When would I use Lean UX versus using some other form of UX? Well, I've got a really long answer for this one. So for that, please see my previous podcast episode called Lean UX is neither lean nor UX. That will give you the full answer. But for the short version for now, I would have to say I do not recommend reading the Lean UX book at all unless you like being frustrated by things, getting worked up and angry, and grinding your teeth. I had to have my dentist fix my teeth after I read the book. Number one, I do not recommend the book. If you love to read all UX and CX books just to know you did, you can read it, but don't be surprised if you find it kind of angering or implausible or doesn't really work. Lean UX is basically what I call an aspirology, which is a bit of a pseudo methodology that doesn't deserve the word methodology. And in super short, because you can go see my other podcast on that, in super short, Lean UX doesn't want us UX workers doing any work ourselves. If you're good at something, if you're even a specialist at something, if you have a PhD in it, Lean UX doesn't want you doing it. Every time you do something, you do it with the team. Lean UX seems to think that's team building. I think it's codependent, and I think it makes us look like we don't know how to do our own jobs. We look incompetent, and we look disrespectful. Why are we pulling everybody else away from their work every time we have to do ours because Lean UX says do everything as a team? Heads up, that's not team building. If it were, all the other domains at our company would hold endless workshops that we were invited to. Magically, they don't. So the team building thing is garbage. So Lean UX is really difficult. There are some Medium articles out there from some people who love Lean UX, loved the book, loved the model, and then tried to put it to use where they worked on multiple projects and found it didn't work. They just couldn't do it. They couldn't do it without heavily modifying it. So I don't think it's a viable model. I don't think it's a viable approach. But I see it's had a surge in popularity lately, mostly from UX associates, juniors, and newbies. Because let's face it, if you're new to doing your job, what sounds better? Doing it completely alone with no help and no feedback and no mentoring or coaching, where people might notice that you don't totally know what you're doing yet, you're still new, or making lots of group workshops and turning everything into a team event. And if you're not too great at UX yet, nobody will really notice because everything is done as a team. So it's accidentally being sold as the methodology of the newbie. And even there, I think it's a mistake because what will happen is some people think, well, I'll just use Lean UX for now because people love all these workshops and team building things. Of course, see my other podcasts on that, the one on collaboration versus design by committee versus decentralization. We think we love these things, but really they hurt design. They hurt the product we're trying to make for the customer. Yes, there are times to collaborate with your team. Collaboration's great. See my podcast about it. But that doesn't mean all of our work should be done by committee. Lean UX also says it's okay to guess at a lot of things, that you'll save time if you work with guesses and assumptions, because hey, later on down the road, you'll figure out if your guesses or assumptions were right. That's really risky. That could burn a lot of time and money for our company. That could make us look pretty bad. And if we're held accountable or responsible, we could lose our jobs. So do not guess. Do not assume. That is not the way to do proper UX. That's the way to do fake UX if you just want to say, we don't have to interview people, we'll just guess. But that's not the way to go. So with the 5-minute version, I'm going to say a total no to Lean UX. I don't suggest the book. I don't suggest trying to do it. I don't suggest endless team workshops. I don't suggest team workshops to replace your own skill and proficiency. There is no circumstance under which I recommend or like Lean UX. And on that note, I'm so glad you've joined me for this. I hope you will watch the longer version. And if you like the videos like this, won't you please Usability test the subscribe button and the bell. Just make sure they work. Give them a tap. Make sure they're on. And please empathize with the like button. Tell the YouTube algorithm you enjoyed this and you recommend it for people with similar interests. And outside of that, thanks and see you in my other videos.